Good afternoon. Here we are. It's another Tuesday, and I've got that fit old guy with me today, and he's asked for a song, and I'm going to play it. It's actually one of my favorites as well. So I hope you like this, Dave. Thinking about thinking of you. Summertime, think it was June. It was June. Laying back, head on the grass, chewing gum, having some laughs, Made me feel like the one, made me feel like the one. Made me feel like the one. Made me feel like the one. The one. That is all we've got time for.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Oh, that wasn't too shabby considering it's a stereophonic song, is it?
Yeah, I loved it. Thank you, Ash.
Dave Stickland, how are you, man?
I'm extremely well and much better for hearing that. It's really elevated me.
Good. Well, as you know, my very first question is, why did you choose that song?
Okay, so really weird. You can probably tell by my age that I should probably think like things like Uriah Heep and Supertramp and older stuff from the 70s, and they do get me high. But for some reason, the 90s just hit something very special for me and took me back to when I fancied Mary of the Fourth Form and stuff like that at school. And, you know, that song, Dakota, about lying with your head back in the park and fancying somebody just takes me back to 15 years old.
Nah, brilliant. I love how songs just evoke different memories. So I said that was one of my favorite songs. The reason it's one of my favorite songs is in the band that I'm in, Static Charge, we have that as our encore. So everyone's had a great evening, and at the end it's one more, and we play that one. And when I turn around and said, "Oh, anybody here like Stereophonics or anyone like Dakota?" They'll go, "No." But when I play it, everybody absolutely goes mad. It's just a brilliant song.
Yeah.
So
it makes my heart beat, and I can feel the love sickness as well from when I was at school.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing. But here, thank you. That's very sweet of you. So look, it doesn't matter if you don't have antivirus on your computer. You can catch my smile, and it passes it on. And Sylvie thinks that was brilliant. So thank you very much indeed. So Dave Stickland, the fit old guy. Why are you called the fit old guy?
Okay, so I was a very, very poorly kid. I won't bore you with it now. My health trajectory has been on and up from when I was basically born. I think most people peak at what we consider to be the Olympic age of 30. And I started off very poorly, extreme asthma. It turned into a really hard time in my 20s doing all the things that you do to abuse your body. And I finally started cleaning myself up at 35. And my trajectory is going ever upwards. And because I sell private healthcare and I look after people when they're ill, I realized I can probably do even as much about keeping them well so they don't have to see me.
Brilliant. I love that idea. And that's the thing, isn't it? We buy an awful lot of stuff to fix stuff that we've neglected. You know, if you get your car serviced properly, you don't need to take it to the repairers, and it's all those sorts of things. So yeah, if you look after your body and you're healthy and you're fit, then you can be a fit old guy rather than having to use the healthcare packages that you do. So that's absolutely superb. So we're 15 minutes behind I've got the wrong banner up. Look at that. That's rubbish, isn't it?
Oh, for accountants and bookkeepers.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
I always say, unless you're on that subject, Ash, people put too much time into the money pot and not enough time into the health pot. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So 50 minutes behind the profile. I know you do use social media. You've been on my workshop, but why do you use LinkedIn?
Do you know what? I actually probably use it for the local community. I can't say I'm its biggest fan. If I look at my whole ecosystem, I would say Insta and Facebook are where it's at for me. It feels more relaxed.
Yep.
But getting to know people like you and others around the Devon area, it almost acts like a Facebook group for me.
Yep.
And I think, you know, in marketing, we all say no, like, trust, don't we? And I think I'm no, like, trust, sell. And if I can say anything on LinkedIn, I'm useless. I'm not consistent. You'll give me bollockings, but, you know, I will do the best I can and get some of my character across on LinkedIn.
And so look, we talk about other platforms, and there's nothing wrong with using other platforms. Somebody in my group today asked me which is the best platform, and they asked Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. But there's that many again, and then that many again more platforms that we don't even think of as social media platforms. You know, YouTube, for example, you wouldn't think that was a social media platform, but it is. Snapchat and stuff like that. And you've got to hang out where your customers are hanging out. And so I guess with the health things that you're doing, Instagram is a good place for that. So that's absolutely superb. So how much time do you reckon you spend on LinkedIn then?
So
not enough isn't the answer.
21 minutes a day is the answer if I look at my iPhone.
Oh, well done. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, but I don't put out nearly enough content. I try and engage and chat away. Been chatting away to Matt Young today, who you know very well. So yeah, it's more of a social platform for me rather than shouting about, you know, what I've got to sell.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a great comment there from Saeed. I hope I pronounced your name right, sir. This is why I started this, Saeed. I just want to know a little bit more about those people that we have on LinkedIn. We see them, but I want to meet the real person. So if you know of anybody that would be a great guest, or you fancy it yourself, then please get in touch. But thank you. It is having the time to watch them all. But no, cool. Thank you. So how long have you been on LinkedIn?
I don't know exactly. You told me how to find it, but I'm guessing at 2009.
Okay, so quite a while. Quite a while. So
a long time.
Almost.
Yeah, and I've had other businesses, but I'm very much a split personality. So it's Dave Stickland, the WPA private healthcare man that appears on LinkedIn, and it's that fit old guy that appears on Facebook and on Instagram. And I don't blend them enough, but that's a challenge I've got.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's something that, look, if you want to work privately with me, give me a shout. I'm more than happy to help you get over that. Because there's nothing wrong with being the fit old guy on LinkedIn. You don't have to be the WPA healthcare specialist.
No.
And I think more people are going to connect with a fit old guy. Because that's only where we're going to end up. So no, and all the stuff that you do. So tell us a little bit more about being a fit old guy and what you do. And you've said about WPA. What is it you actually do for a living? But then how does that blend in with being a fit old guy? And I'm sorry to keep going on about it, but that is what you call yourself. So
no,
away
that's
with
fine.
it.
I'm a healthcare partner for WPA. So the big names that you will know that are my competitors are Bupa, AXA, Vitality with a little sweet dog. And, we look after 300,000 people in the UK. So we're pretty sizable, and we look after some household names that you would know. There's even rumor that we might look after the Queen, but nobody will ever know that. And I love it. So I look after about 2,000 people. And basically, I always say that I'm the deadliest weapon in Devon because I can stick you into hospital whenever you want. You know what I mean? So
absolutely,
that's what I do. But because I only see people when they're ill, my passion is to keep them well because I know what you need to do to stay well. It's not complicated. It's only because we're given so much rubbish through the press and through hundreds of experts that we're all blinded by the plethora of information that's thrown at us. So we're buried in advice.
So you've turned all this around on its head then, aren't you? What you're saying is don't come to me to get your health insurance, come to me to learn how to be a little bit fitter. But oh, by the way, if you want some health insurance, then I can put you in hospital when you want. So tell us some of the things that we should be doing. Okay, so I've recently cut meat out of my diet. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? And if anyone's got any questions, then please fire those in as well. But what sort of things can your average person be doing?
So food is a great one to start with. We've gone tribal around food, which I think is sad. We've got veggies, we've got vegans, we've got intermittent fasters, we've got keto experts, we've got low fat, low carb, and all of it, to be honest, is complete nonsense compared with the two huge elephants in the room. And number one is the calorific load. So you've got to know your numbers. This is definitely for the accountants. You've got to know what your maintenance calories are, and then you can trim them to suit. And the second big elephant in the room is the amount of protein you're taking on board, because most of us undereat. And it's protein, which is Greek for the number one, the prime macrobiotic. You need to have at least 25% of your diet in protein. And most protein has got eyes and legs, which is why being a veggie or vegetarian is a great thing to do, but it's just that little bit more challenging. And just make sure you get your protein to be at least 25% of your diet a day.
So you're
those
saying
are my two big eats.
So the 25%, right? The 25% of your diet, and you know, we grew up in a similar sort of era when it was meat and two veg every meal. You know, and pork chops and you know, some potatoes and some veg, and that was the staple diet in the UK, wasn't it?
Yes.
And we'd have bacon and eggs for breakfast, cooked in loads of fat, and then maybe a bacon sandwich at lunchtime or something like that. But you know, a ham sandwich maybe. But when I'm imagining this plate now with you know, a piece of steak and some meat and that, and it is taking up a quarter of the plate. So that's good.
Yes, and that's a minimum. You know, I'll be up to something like 120 grams of protein a day because I'm supporting muscular development. So it's, you know, it's in proportion to what mission you want from your body as well. But I believe in old age you need more and more muscle, and there's far too much emphasis on aerobic work, you know, and running and swimming, what I call monostructural exercises. And the body doesn't need that when it gets older. It needs to be able to lower itself to the toilet, lift bags up into aircraft cabins, throw grandchildren in the air. And you need musculature for that.
I love your priorities there.
Yeah.
Toilet first, then your holidays, and then your grandchildren.
Yeah, but it's decrepitude that's going to get most of us if it's not a metabolic illness. Yeah, so metabolic is the number one killer, you know, which is obviously weight, heart, you know, obesity. But the number two killer is decrepitude. And, you know, we forget that we're losing muscle at the rate of 3 to 5% a decade, and you will just come too weak unless you muscle up.
Yeah. So how do I get how do I get protein back into my diet then?
As a veggie, it's quite challenging because there are very, very few complete proteins, and a complete protein is 9 amino acids, which all meats and fish have. So a veggie and a vegan have to mix pulses and grains in the right proportions. I mean, tofu, soya, seitan, they're all great proteins, but you have to mix them well. And the challenge is that you tend to take on way too much carb. So for somebody like me that's taking the amount of protein I'm in, the amount of carbs I'd be taking in to get to that quantity of protein is a challenge. So for me, I think it's laudable and it's the way forward, being vegetarian or vegan, but it's not market ready yet. It's too much of an experiment. You know, there's been nobody alive long enough really to prove maximum health from not meat eating.
And so here's one that you hear a lot of. When back in the old days, did we not used to just eat berries and fruit, or were we eating the saber-toothed
No,
tiger?
you didn't actually. So obviously you've got the people up in the Arctic Circle who lived off seal blubber, and the Africans who are our heritage from about 200,000 years ago had a very high carb diet. So they would dig for tuber, potatoes, whatever grew underground. And that was supplemented from when they could go on the hunt and supplement it with protein. So there isn't such thing as a paleo diet and an ancestral diet. It's all just been made up in the last 10 or 20 years as another marketing con. So we had a great variety, but for optimum health, generally, it would have been about 25% plus of protein.
And so what challenges do you find when you're talking with people around diet then? Because that's got to be the biggest thing, isn't it? It's what we're putting into our body. Is that the biggest challenge?
Yeah, I think because they're being blinded, Ash, by the newspapers. They're being blinded by the fact that blueberries are the next superfood, by broccoli is wonderful, that you need oat milk in your coffee, and 99% of it is absolute nonsense. And you can't focus on one of these food types. It's a combination of what you're eating. And I always say the damage is in the dose, right? There's no problem having a donut. There's no point going on the lash and having some ale. There's no problem having loads of Whisper bars. But the damage is in the dose. If you have all these every day, then it's going to get you down. But if 80% of your diet is from food that hasn't got a marketing department, that's my general rule. Okay. So I think you'll be pretty spot on. And I think once you know your numbers, you can just bring the calories down. So I would have about 200 less on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I know I've got spare for my Whisper bar and my ale on a Friday and Saturday night.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And so we're on using like a Zoom sort of thing. It's something called StreamYard, and we can't see the lower parts of you, but I just have to tell everybody watching that you are svelte, and you are definitely that fit old guy. We've got to the end of our 15 minutes already, but I've got some questions coming in. So I've got one here from Jonathan. Do you feel that too few older people are getting access to physiotherapists on the NHS or privately? Great question, Jonathan.
Do you feel that too few older people? Well, definitely, because there just isn't access through the NHS. But I would say that most people that go to physio are going to physio because they have inadequate structure around their body, and they've been forced to go, probably, not everybody, but probably because they haven't got the musculature to support the bones. So I would say the problem is further back in the system, if that makes sense. I don't know whether that's a fair answer, Jonathan.
No, so when you say
privately, you can access with private, you can access a physio whenever you want with us. So that's not an issue.
But when you say older people, 80s, 90s, I suppose, and so you and I have got a fair way before we get there. But it's what we're doing today, which is going to denote how we're going to be in our 80s and 90s. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah. And the spine is the classic. It's probably unfair to say it's all chairs and desks that are doing it to us. Yes, they don't contribute positively to our aches and pains, but what's even worse is our lack of musculature to support our bone and our body.
You've got me worried now, mate.
Well, we're lazy, aren't we? We're designed to rest, right? So this is nobody's fault. It took 6 million years to develop the human body, and the last 200,000 we've been developing it around agriculture and around, urban living, which has not done us too many favors. And I think we've just got to find other ways to live now. It doesn't have to be radical.
Yeah,
but
no, exactly.
Muscle is something I'll bang on about because it's 40 to 70%, of your organ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of your being.
Paul's a fan, saying you're looking good today, and you've got some good things that going on.
Thank you, Paul.
So Lillian reckons we need more veg being introduced to the company to get people eating more veg. It seems to be that not many people like eating veg, and I know several people in my family that broccoli is about the only veg that they eat.
Yeah.
Any suggestions there?
Yeah, I think variety is right, Lily, and I think the challenge I think that we've all got is we'll try and find anything but stare at the big elephants in the room, right? So this is all about layers. There's no point worrying about whether you've got nitrate in your bacon, or whether you've got oat milk in your coffee, or whether you've got the variety of veg, until you know about calorific balance and where your macros are in place, because they're so big, right? It's like going on to something like Herbal Life or something, you know. And I mean, these things won't make a difference, but if you've got everything else in place, it's a bit like Ronaldo. He's probably got everything in place for his athletic body. And therefore, if he does take X, Y, and Z protein shake, it might give him that 0.001% performance. But there's so much we have got wrong, you know, that these things are almost irrelevant at the moment.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I wish I'd have changed the name of my show to 2 hours behind the profile, because we've just scratched the surface. I think we're going to have to get you back, mate. This is incredible.
Thank you.
You've inspired Sylvie to go to the gym.
Yay! Muscle up, Sylvie.
So that's cool. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
All right,
Thank you.
We've got another fan here. Always wise word. He not alone lives it, but he educates us on
John, he's written me a poem this morning and it made me cry. I put it on Insta and Facebook. He's written me a poem. He's lovely.
All right, we'll have to go and check that out. So
yeah.
Once this is finished, Dave, it stays up and you can go in and put comments in. If you can go in there and put your Instagram page in there and let people go and see the Fit Old Guy, because I think there's going to be a lot of people wanting to connect with you and chat with you about what you're doing. So yeah, well done for doing that. I've got one more question for you. Before I do that, I'm going to introduce next week's guest. The question is, what tip would you give your 16-year-old self? But just hold that thought a second, because next week I have got an accountant on the show. We've got, wherever she is, she's down here somewhere. There she is. We've got the lovely Carly from Clarative Accounting. And I can't get rid of that one. Is that one there? Yeah, there we go. We've got the lovely Carly from Clarative Accounting, and she is doing amazing things on LinkedIn. So she'll be here next week. So what's the answer to that question then, sir? What tip would you give your 16-year-old?
Well, I gave the hint out earlier, actually, which was focus on filling the health pot and not the money pot, because the money pot will flow from the health pot. And I have lived it, and I've lived poorly. You know, I have lived poorly up until I was 35-ish. And every year since then, and I'm 60 next year, has got better and better.
Fantastic. So when are you 60?
Mean booze and chocolate, by the way.
Are you 60 next year at the beginning of the year or the end of the year?
May.
We can't wait till then. But look, we've got some fans here want you back on. Yeah, you don't look 60, mate. And there's a lot of people here that are the right side of 60 want to look like you when they get to 60. So keep up the good work. Absolute delight having you on. I knew it would be. I knew we'd run over. Thank you to everybody for all your lovely comments. I'll be back here next week. I'm here tomorrow as well with an author. This is my accountant show tomorrow. But Dave, you've been a star, and stay on and we'll work out a date for the next one. But thank you, everybody, and goodbye. Cheers, Dave.
Thanks, Ash. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your time.